This captured British spy was sentenced to be executed until George Washington stepped in and saved his life. Robert Land, who is our follower Zoe's 8th great-grandfather, and also Charles Lindbergh's 3rd great-grandfather, was a courier for the British during the American Revolution. And in 1779, he was carrying secret messages for General Henry Clinton, as well as he was also recruiting for the Loyalist cause. However, he'd be captured by the Patriot forces and then charged and convicted of spying, eventually sentenced to death by a military court. And while Robert was awaiting his execution as a prisoner of war, unbeknownst to Robert, his home in Pennsylvania would be burned down and his wife and kids would go missing. And so, as the day of his execution was drawing near, Robert would get word that the General George Washington himself had personally overturned Robert's conviction and that he would no longer be executed. After his release, Robert would be relieved to go see his wife and kids and went home to Pennsylvania only to find his house burned to the ground with no trace of his wife or kids. Robert was distraught and in mourning and convinced that his family was gone forever, and so he fled north to the British territory. And believing that he would be starting over his life completely, he would build a cabin in Hamilton, Ontario. Years later, his wife, who he believed to be dead, named Phoebe, would hear a rumor of a man with the last name Land living near Lake Ontario. This did not feel like only a rumor to Phoebe, and so she took her kids and traveled hundreds of miles just to find out if it truly was him. And 2 years after Phoebe would hear this rumor, Robert would walk out of his cabin doors one day to see his wife and kids eager to greet him. It was a cool part of the story. I didn't know that. I honestly didn't read all the way to the end.